So moving out is a terrifying thing to even think about to begin with. That on top of trying to realize your budget of financials, how much you're able to spend, whether or not you're going to be eating ramen or actually have a full meal tonight, just becomes even more stressful. Not even to mention all the things you have to buy, like a bed and a microwave. It gets really complicated really fast. What's up guys, my name is Mateo Hall, and I plan on moving out sometime in the next month to 2.5 months, and I wanted to share with you guys the budget that I've started to create in order to actually make that possible, because I think that one of the first things that you should do when you start thinking about moving to a new place or even moving out of your parents' house like I am, is making sure that you can actually afford it to begin with. Who cares if you have gigabit Wi-Fi if you can't even afford to pay rent that month? So let's start with the simplest part of this. How much money do you need to move out, or how much money should you budget for? Let's start with my income. So I'm working 40 hours a week at my little 8 to 5 job at $14 an hour. That's coming out to around $950 every other week. And my girlfriend is working 20 hours a week at $12 an hour for around $450, and that's every other week. Multiply that times 26 weeks, and that's $36,000, or a monthly income of roughly $3,000 every month. So that's what we're working with. So what can we really afford to do with $3,000 a month? Am I still going to be able to do the investments that I'm doing right now? Absolutely not, because right now I'm used to living on $200 a month, and for $200 a month, I'm not even going to be able to pay rent. So we're going to have to scale back investments, but I still do want to be investing, so what are we able to do and what are we going to have to cut back on is something that I have to really look at and realize. So the first step in really making this budget is looking at the main thing that most of your expenses are going to be going to, which is rent. I'm saying that I don't want to be spending more than roughly a third of our income every single month on rent, because I still want to be investing, even though I know that that's not going to be nearly as heavily as we are, but I have a solution to that we'll get into later on in the video. So I'm budgeting roughly $1,000 of our $3,000 budget for rent every single month. So that's our price range that we're looking at for apartments right now, is in the $1,000 ballpark, plus minus $100, maybe $200 if we're feeling a little too fancy. One of the next biggest expenses that we're going to be having every single month is grocery. That's including food, paper towels, and a lot of miscellaneous things. And I'm hoping that we're not spending any more than $450 every single month on there. That's due to a lot of research that I've done just online, because again, I don't know, so I'm assuming the top of the budget. I think that we could honestly scale that back a lot more. I'm a relatively frugal person. I feel like frugal has gotten a really bad connotation, but honestly, it's not that bad to be frugal, and financially aware, I think, might be a better way to put it. So if we're spending $450, we could even maybe bump that up to $500 a month on food. That should give us plenty of wiggle room that I think, honestly, we could cut back on a lot more. So now we've covered housing and food. Next most important thing would probably be utilities, so that we could actually have heat and water going through this house. Now, utilities is one of the things that it's kind of hard to budget for until you see what building you're going into. Whether it has double pane glass windows or not could impact how much your heating bill is going to be. Also, some units get free water and the tenant only pays for electricity or gas. So this was one thing that I'm really not sure of. I threw a number out there, and I'm hoping that that's going to be the top of the budget, and then we'll be able to scale that back a lot more after seeing a couple months of how much it is. I wanted to budget the highest amount that I think that it would ever be, so I put $300 out there budgeting for utilities every single month. Now, I also have a pet dog, so we have to find an apartment that is nice to dogs and allows dogs anyways. That's another thing that we have to note when looking for our $1,000 apartment, but that's going to be another $40 to $50 every single month, paying for food, treats, miscellaneous things for him. Now that we've really taken care of all of the core things at the house, let's move on to the cars, because I feel like that's going to be our next biggest spending and the most important area that we should really be paying attention to. For cars, first and foremost, my girlfriend has a payment towards her parents, which I think is something really important and honorable that you have to be paying back. They helped her get this car, So she should prioritize this towards the top of $125 towards a car payment back towards her parents every single month. After that, looking at insurance. Insurance costs for both of us, since we're teenage drivers, was ballparking around $330 total, which I think we got really killer rates on, especially me as a male teenage new driver. It's absolutely insane. We'll throw another $15 a month on there for renter's insurance as well, since I didn't talk about that earlier. And I can see that very quickly our budget is slowly starting to dwindle. I haven't been keeping track of it on my head, but in editing, you'll see that that is the amount that we have left so far, and I feel like we still have a lot to go. So next up, we're going to be talking about miscellaneous costs for the cars. This is going to be reoccurring stuff like smog checks, registration, but we're also going to be budgeting maintenance in here. I think it's really important to budget maintenance in on your car payments every single month, so we're going to throw in another $125, let's call it, for maintenance, registration, and smog checks every single year for both of the cars. On top of all of the registration, repairs, and maintenance fees, we're also going to have to budget for how much gas we have. Now, me as a real estate agent, I'm probably going to be spending a lot more on gas than I've previously expected, but due to the illness, we're not doing a lot of driving around, so I'm guessing, right now I only spend about $30 every single month on gas because I don't really go anywhere. But I'm assuming that's going to skyrocket up once I start driving around, going towards clients, going towards houses, and really driving around the city more. So worst case scenario, I'm hoping $300 a month on gas every single month. Again, we'll only have to see once this budget becomes realized when we actually do move in. If you guys want, I'll actually do a little update video maybe a month, 2 months after I move into the new place and tell you how well my little theoretical budget actually realizes out and where I went wrong, where I went right, but we're not quite done yet. There's a couple more things we need to deal with. Next up, I personally have a bare minimum of at least $65. I'm still figuring out the exact numbers of real estate fees coming in, desk fees, MLS fees, yada yada yada. It's gonna increase slightly more. I'm still registering for a couple of different things, but it's gonna be at least another $65 to pay for my real estate fees, which I didn't realize how expensive that was, but it's something that I know now, and I know that we can cover because we're making this budget. What I mentioned in the very beginning of this video is internet. I need an internet access in order to be recording videos for you guys and in order to be doing my job as a real estate agent. So that's another $50 every single month for internet access. That's bare minimum. Realistically, I would want something more, but I'm not sure if it's in our budget because it's a theoretical budget and I've never done this before. I'm really excited, really terrified. Let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be phone. I don't have any phone payment. I'm not out financing the new iPhone every single year. I did buy the iPhone 11 last year, but that's only because I was upgrading from the iPhone SE, and I plan on keeping my iPhone for the next 3 to 4 years without getting the new one, because I think that I can last that long. So we're gonna put another $50, that's $25 on each of us, hopefully sign up for something like Mint Mobile in order to pay for a cellular plan, and I just pray that that's enough and that maybe I don't, maybe I will, but we might just upgrade that because, again, this is a theoretical budget and I don't know how much I'm going to end up doing. Really, I guess I could just be looking up how much data I'm using right now. I think I use too much data anyways, but that would probably be a smart thing, wouldn't it? And finally, we have $200 a month for entertainment. This is whether or not we want to be doing any date nights or anything and, actually have fun with the money that you have and enjoy it. I really think it's important to have an entertainment category in your budget and to tell yourself that you're allowed to spend money on things that you like. Because if you never spend any of your money on things that you like, you, in my opinion, are not going to have a really fulfilling life, and I think that you should budget for entertainment. That way you just don't feel bad about spending money. Spending money isn't something you should feel bad about, in my opinion. So for those of you keeping track at home, that brings us to a grand total of $3,045 every single month out of our $3,046. Wow, there go my investments. or do they? Now, we did these calculations based off of me making $14 an hour doing 40 hours a week, my girlfriend working $12 an hour doing 20 hours a week, right? We also haven't accounted for any type of savings. Granted, me and her both have a nest egg of a savings account that has a pretty decent emergency fund built up each. But that still shows the problem that at this rate we would never be able to refill our savings account. So why do I still think that I'm going to be able to invest? Well, that's because I won't just be working 40 hours a week at my 9-to-5 job. Honestly, I'm going to be probably cutting my hours back to around 30 to 35 hours a week, meaning suddenly we're under budget. So how does this work? Well, remember, I just got my real estate license. So I'm going to start selling houses. That means that every single house that I sell, every single lease that I do, every single person that I help, all of that money can go straight into my investments. Not to mention, if this channel ever gets monetized in 20 years or however long that ends up taking, I can put that money towards reinvesting in the channel and then making the channel even better. I really do hope that I can end up using money from this channel in order to build out a proper set, to get proper lighting, because I'm filming in front of my window right here every single night. If I turn the camera around, there's literally my bed right there, and there's just a window right there, and I'm using a music stand in order to actually film. The median home price in Reno, Nevada is around $450,000. That means that my average commission on a property is probably going to be in the ballpark from $6,000 to $8,000, which if I turn around and put all of that money in my investments, that's probably going to be a higher rate of investing than I am doing right now. That, not to mention the fact that my girlfriend is thinking about kicking up her hours at her job right now too, means that we'd be having even more money that we're sitting on, and that we'd both be able to be investing as well as paying everything off. Now, there's still a lot of things that I need to do before I'm actually ready to move out. I've been looking at properties, but there's a lot of stuff that you have to buy when moving out. I mean, I have a twin bed, I don't have a couch, I don't have a microwave, I don't have silverware. Those are all things that I need to buy, and I might have to cut back my investing right now just in order to prepare for moving out. I'm gonna actually freeze my investing recently with how bullish the market's been going, and maybe I'll come back in if everything cools down, because either way I'd be dollar cost averaging back up, or I could just let that money sit there for a little bit, and hopefully when I am done moving in and I start getting those commission checks, that's when I'll start buying in a little bit more heavily. And whether or not the market's up or whether or not the market's down, I'm going to be buying in consistently. So is there anything that I missed? Is there anything in my budget that I'm just completely forgetting? Because that's very possible, and I really appreciate any of your guys' support on helping me think of other things. Are my numbers unrealistic? Are they just way out of this world and you think I'll be able to budget even more towards investing? I'd love to hear feedback from you guys down in the comments below. We're going on this journey together, and I want to take you guys through every single aspect of it. Remember to leave a like on the video, subscribe, check out the description. You could get a grand total of, it's turned into 4 free stocks from Webull just by depositing $100, which is absolutely insane. Get your investing started, go down to the description. Also open up a Robinhood account while you're down there, get an entirely free stock, and sign up for a Discover card. You'll get a free $50 credit just for signing up. I will see you guys next time until we continue our financial journeys and I rent an apartment.